So let's get started installing our leather. We're going to begin by installing the leather handles with the D-ring and the leather washers. So I have my bag here that I sewed up, and we're just going to punch some holes right here so that the fabric here can receive the rivets. So I'm going to lay that down and take my cutting board and actually put it inside the bag. And then I'm going to grab my 3/32 strive punch, and I'm going to go ahead and punch all the way through all my layers of fabric at my rivet placement points. Then I'll scoot over here and punch these 2 holes so that I'm ready to attach this handle. So now that I've punched all of my holes, my bag is ready to receive the handles. So I'm going to grab my 2 14-inch handles, and I'm also going to grab 4 leather washers and my D-ring and 4 medium rivets. So what we're going to do is we're going to set up one handle. So what's really cool about double cap rivets is you can actually set it up and check your work. It will hold enough for you to move around the studio or whatever you need to do to check it. But it's not set until we actually hammer it, but it'll stick in place while we make sure that we did it right. What I like to do is thread the stem end of the rivet into a leather washer to start. And then I'm going to do that for all my leather washers. So the leather washers are so essential for you to have a strong attachment point for your leather onto your bag. Okay, so whenever we're adding rivets and hardware onto our bag, we really want to make sure that we encase our fabric in leather so that when the rivet is pulling and you're holding the handle and holding the weight of the bag there, that it's pulling against another piece of leather, because over time this part of the rivet will cut into the fabric as it rubs. So this is really nice to have on the other side of the rivet. So then I'm going to go ahead and from the inside of the bag, I'm going to push the rivet up and out so that you can see the stem come out like that. And I'm going to set that up for my other rivet too, just like that. So now I'm going to actually push this down, and I'm going to lay my strap down on top of that. So I have a few tips and tricks for you for right here. So one of our mottos at our studio is same strap, same side of the bag. You really want to ask yourself, is what I'm about to do really makes sense? We're just really focused in, and we need to make sure that we focus out too. So then we're not setting a strap across our zipper, for instance, something like that. Or sometimes what I've seen folks do is put the cap on before the strap is actually on there. So these are just little things where you're going to remind yourself to slow down and just think about what you're doing here. So having said that, we're just going to push our leather onto the stems right here, and I'm going to stick a cap on the top one. So then we want to add a D-ring onto here. So I'm going to go ahead and pull my leather off the stem, and I'm going to thread this D-ring onto the leather strap and then put it back on the stem there, and then I'll put a cap on there. So it just goes in between the rivets. It's really nice to have this D-ring here to hang keys off of into your pocket there. So then I'm going to set up to attach the strap on this side too. So I'm going to grab my stem end of my rivet, put it in from the inside of the bag, 2 of them. And then I'm going to push this strap onto the rivet stems and add a cap. And the other cap. Right, so this is our strap set up to hammer and set. So I'm going to go over to my stone piece and my hammer, and we'll go ahead and set these. So what I like to do is actually hammer from the inside of the bag, because in case I miss and dent a rivet, I'm denting a rivet on the inside of my bag. So now I have my rivets on the stone here, and I just want to make sure there's nothing in between, because having it on a nice flat stone surface really helps the rivet set flat. Okay, so I'm gonna lay that down, and I also wanna make sure that my strap isn't twisted and that it's the same strap, same side, and that it's laying flat here. And then what I'm actually gonna do is I'm gonna start in, and I'm actually gonna tap lightly to start setting the rivets. So that's actually a pro tip there. A lot of people think they need to come in with a lot of force and just get those rivets in. But if you do that, you run the risk of taking the rivet stem and setting it crooked, and then it's not a strong rivet. So we're gonna coax it down, and then we're gonna add a little bit more heavy blows as it starts to set down. So I'm just gonna start by tapping it. Just coaxing it down. So notice I'm setting both rivets at the same time, and that's fine to do that. So now I started to get the rivet caps to kind of crunch down, and now I'm going to use a little bit more force and just set them in there. So you're going to know that your rivets are set because you can start to see them dent into the leather. Like that, you can kind of see that indent happening there. So that's a nice strong set rivet. Okay, so then let's look at how to deal with hammering the rivets with the D-ring, okay? So the D-ring is actually gonna obstruct your ability to hammer a rivet flat. So you need to hammer one rivet at a time. So I'm gonna hammer this rivet because this D-ring is down here, and then I'm gonna push the D-ring up to hammer that rivet, but I'm still hammering from the inside. So we're gonna do the top one first. And then move the D-ring up to set that one. Hammering stuff is just so fun. So there we are, setting our handle, our first handle in, and then you can go ahead and do your next strap on the other side.